Hi, this is Carol Mulliken. This time I'm going to talk about writing a narrative essay, which is one of the first assignments that you have. A lot of people worry when they're asked to write about something that's happened to them because they think nothing important ever happened to me. I haven't had any big dramatic rescues, never nearly died, that kind of thing. So I want to give you an example of how you can take a very small memory and enlarge it and make it a bigger and a better narrative piece. And the first thing is you just find a memory to work with and you write it. Mine began when I was a small child. I hated taking naps. I'd climb out of my crib and find my mother wherever she was. She got nothing done and I got no sleep. Unfortunately, she dealt with an overtired and whiny child until bedtime. Finally, my mother hit on the idea of letting me lie underneath the baby grand piano on a rag rug to listen while she practiced playing. She was really good at it, and to this day I loved listening to good music. Well, that's only 75 words, and it's no big story, so I'm certainly going to have to do some other things with it, and I want to show you how that's done. And the solution is you write it again, and then again, and then again, making it better by providing more details and choosing descriptive words carefully, and finally giving it a title taken from the content of the essay. The essay below is my 6th revision of a piece I'm not sure is done yet. It's called Love Among the Bass Notes. Take a moment to read through this briefly. You're not reading for content, but just to sort of get the general idea. And here you can see I'm quoting from another song at length. And there's a transition now. The bass still rumbled my lungs, but the rhythms were slower, and the melody had greater range. I would feel like rocking slowly back and forth. It was hypnotic, and after a varying number of more songs like that, I'd be feeling drowsy. And somehow my mom knew when, at last, to move into the songs that ushered me off into slumber. My favorite was by lyricist Carl Sigman and composer Robert Maxwell, and you can see the lyrics of Ebb Tide here. And now the piece ends up, I'm at peace in the web of your arms. I didn't learn the lyrics from listening to the piano, but once I read them, I understood my mother's true intent. My gifted, sensitive, and loving mother had used her piano to lure a cranky, willful little 3-year-old into naps. To this day, I love the way classical piano music can carry me away, and I remember how very well I was once loved down there among the bass notes. As you can see, this version is more than 7 times longer than the first because of the amount of detail I added. Adding detail is called development or developing a paragraph or an essay. I had to use internet research to find the song lyrics, and I had to use a thesaurus to find more concrete and sensory words to describe my experience and make the reader feel as if he were there as well. Notice that nothing monumental happened in this piece. In fact, I just drifted off to sleep. So the interest comes not from an action plot, but I hope from the sensations and the feelings that it evoked. Then the next step is you have to revise your essay again, adding details that appeal to more of the senses. And here are some of the examples of the changes that I made. You can see naps. When I was 3, I hated them, that first paragraph. In the second paragraph, I wanted to have people smell or touch or feel or hear something different. And so I added the sentence, the wood floor smelled of lemon floor polish and dust. I don't know how she observed me when playing, but she must have. She noticed that I was intrigued by how loud and how low the lowest notes were. and I began to listen closely as I watched her feet work the gleaming brass pedals. So there we've got movement and sight, gleaming brass pedals. Moving further down, in another paragraph, I went on. Remember this part? The bass still rumbled my lungs, but the rhythms were slower. And I added, I would tug at the soft cotton loops of the white rag rug. Now we've got a color, we've got the feel of soft cotton, we've got the movement of tugging. That's all sensory. And then I added, I would run my fingers down the smooth ebony legs of the grand piano. That's movement and touch. Every now and then my English bulldog would rouse me briefly to waffle my face with his sharp whiskers and wet nose. Sharp and wet, waffle, those are all movement and sensation. So you can see how I went on to expand the piece by adding more sensory details, smoothing the language out, doing the research I needed to add details, and finally polishing it. This process is the recursive writing process. Recursive means to write, read, revise, reread, and revise again over and over until it's the best piece that you can achieve. And you'll note I began this piece a decade ago as part of a collection of brief memories of my mother I planned to give to my younger siblings. But when it was done, I wasn't happy with it. So I set it aside for a later time. When I reassemble it with revisions, maybe this time it will be done. That's how I went about writing a narrative essay.